real. Tell me how you.
What a sweet
day.
day. Hello,
What's going on?
nerding. I'm nerding like hell. Yeah, this is nerd week.
This I think it's
We
been
got
nerd like last 3 weeks. We've definitely hit the nerdum. Is that a word? Nerddom.
it is
I'll make
now.
it a word. It is now.
we yeah, because tonight we didn't do a video about it, but tonight is the prequel to Game of Thrones, so the House of the
That's
Dragon.
right.
That's tonight on HBO Max. And then our topic for today is going to be one of my favorites because I'm a nerd. The Rings of Power from Lord of the Rings. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I am very happy that HBO Max has put all of their extended versions on HBO Max.
Un-
Uh,
you you're not lying with that. I ended up having to binge it one time, and wow,
it's a lot.
it is a lot.
From the Fellowship and the Two Towers of Lord of the Rings, the first trilogy, I think they're 3.5 to 345 each, and then the third one, which is the Return of the King, that one's like 4 and change, like 415 extended, and then you go through the three Hobbits, they're each about like 330, and the last
About
one has like a million endings, just like the Return of the King. So it's about 4 hours and change. I'll watch them all. If I wake up, because I wake up for work at 3 o'clock in the morning on an off day, I'll be up at like 7. And if I don't have nothing to do, I'll just lay around. But I'll have the remote. Boop. Lord of the Rings 1. Let's go. By lunchtime, I have something to eat, and then we start number 2.
so, and
It's,
I wasn't. I'm late into the group because I never really cared for Lord of the Rings at first. And it's weird to say that, but it wasn't my forte. I was into, oddly enough, Harry Potter. I was into Star Wars, comic books, but I didn't really get into the swing of it into Lord of the Rings. So I remember, and I have a vivid memory of my dad bringing home Lord of the Rings 3, the extended cut on DVD, and I went to put it in. I said, well, let me give it a shot. And I was so lost because then I was like, this is part 3. It's
yeah.
like, what are we doing with this? Like, I had no idea who the characters were. So I stopped watching it. So I never really watched it. So when it came up that we were, I'm dating, a niece, and we were like, okay, let's go watch this. Let's really watch this. And she loves it. She loved it all together. Hey, niece. Speaking of, um, we ended up binge watching, and I was like, "Oh my god, why didn't I watch this from before?" I was so hooked onto this. I was really, really hooked onto it. So, definitely love it now. We binge watched the first 3 movies. We hit all of Hobbits. So when I saw this trailer, I was like, "We gotta watch. We have to talk about this because." I kind of forgot that they were doing this, and then when you had brought it, oh yeah, let's look at this, and I was like, oh, that's right. I rewatched the trailer like 7 times, and I was like, God, and there's so much into it, and there's so much talk about what they're bringing in, the characters they're introducing. So definitely, we'll kind of want to jump right into this. So,
Yeah.
and before we kind of hit it, I do also want to kind of mention, guys, please like, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram and our Twitter page. You get all the updates. We're going to be posting whenever we're going to go live. So definitely follow us there, and then subscribe to our channel and hit the bell because you get all the updates whenever we go live.
Yeah, and we've also for the past few videos, I'm very excited about this because Felix, he's behind the scenes. I do creative stuff and all these pictures and crap that you guys see, but like all the questions and whatnot. But he's behind the scenes. He's looking at like the viewership, and we've seen a massive increase in our viewership of what we're doing. And it's like, hey, you in this damn picture, but but like, it's like whatever we're doing, more people are looking at it. and our family behind us, and so how supportive Anise is, and trying to get Angie to be supportive, and everybody is trying to help us out and see the viewership and get it out to more people. It's working. Our
Yeah.
marketing is working. Our thumbnail changes are working. Everything is, we're piecing things together so we can learn. So if you're watching our videos and you like it, share it with a friend, share it with a loved one, share it with whoever, and like and subscribe. And if you have any comment in our section, let us know what you want us to talk about, because I'm a recluse. I work, I come home, I nap, and then I go back to work. That's what I do. I
What
work
a
6 days
cycle.
next week.
What a time to be
And
alive.
right, it's just like on my off days, it's like, oh, clean and then watch a movie. And the social media is not really a thing for me, so I'm trying to tap into it. It's always been hard. So Felix is huge on social media, and he's trying his ass off in order to get this going and working. And I appreciate your hard work, bro. But it's it's working. Whatever we're doing, it's working, and we'll get the topics in order, and we'll have fun with this. That's the basis of what I hope that we could always. It's never going to become work. This is a conversation between two people who've known each other for more than 15 years, and you just happen to see it. Like, for me, this is as fun as it gets. So,
All
here,
right.
let's start off with a couple of things. So, what we're gonna do, we have a bit of a trailer here. So we're gonna watch the trailer. We're gonna watch it together, and then we're gonna start with the questions, and then we have a couple of pictures and whatnot, so we could go through that. Cool.
Yeah. So courtesy of Prime Video and YouTube, uh, Rated F will show this.
Right. And we own no rights because we don't got no money. So let's take off that background music. And here we go. Can you hear it? There we go.
There we go.
We
Yep.
thought the war at last was ended.
Today, our days of peace begin.
Definitely love that.
We thought our joys would be unending. We thought our light would never dim.
The skies are strange.
It is here, Galadriel. The moment we feared. Evil does not sleep. It waits.
Beyond the darkness, tempting shadow that buries all beneath the mountain.
He has not one name, but many.
If you heard of him, lad, if you heard of Sauron,
If the evil rising is left unchecked, it will take us all. Find the light, and the shadow will not find you. Together we can survive this! Fight with me.
Each of us must decide who we shall be.
there can be no trust between hammer and rock. Eventually, one or the other must surely break.
You have been told many lies of Middle-earth.
That is awesome.
That is really awesome to see. And you know the best thing about I love that they touch on so much of like the characters. So
Mhm,
and it's like you're getting a lot of young characters. You're getting a lot of the characters that were big for like the first couple movies. If you watch the
mhm.
original trilogy that they created, so I love that they touch in on that and they jump in on it really quick and like just say, hey, like we know you're gonna hear about these. You know about these. We're not playing stupid. Jump in and follow the story from beforehand.
Mhm.
Um,
It's really cool. I have my favorite parts of it. But let me hear your thoughts first before I go into my nerdgasm.
but yeah, before I lose my own train of thought. Honestly though, so I love that they mentioned first of all, I love that they make this a show. Definitely want to say this first.
Smart,
I
very
think you
very smart.
can if you're gonna do a prequel of this caliber, you have to do it a show because there's so much you can only bring in that movies can touch.
Mhm.
And in a movie, even if you make the movie 3 hours long, 4 hours long, you're not gonna get all of it
It's not
from the
enough detail.
books. Yeah, it's not enough time to spread with this detail. I think we're doing it a show. You can literally jump in and make this almost your own Game of Thrones
Mhm.
because we know what the end results are gonna look like.
Yeah,
We've already seen that. Now we're trying to build on this. And what started all those movies and what and the books.
yeah,
So I definitely love that they how they do this and mentioning some of the characters. I love the dwarves.
yeah. You're a
I'm
dwarf lord
sympathetic.
guy.
I'm sympathetic to the dwarves. I guess I was told that if I was in this, I would be a dwarf, so I might as well just own it. And but
You're
they're
the
they're badass. You got to
you're a
give them
descendant.
credit.
You're a descendant of Thorin, son of Thrain, son of Thrawn.
every time I see it, I was like, you know what? I like these little bastards, man. They hustle. They go in it, and
They're
ain't
hard workers.
you never throw a dwarf.
Oh god.
Oh my god, I love it though. But I definitely like where this is going, and it's such a teaser to it, but it does spring so much energy and of what they're going to
Yeah.
show. And I love that it's a very dark feel already.
That's good.
Um, yeah, but you know, like in the Fellowship, it was really more of a light look, and then like each movie is kind of like dark light. But to see it like in this very darkish feel,
Mhm,
really shows it's gonna set the tone that you're gonna start with season one being very very dark.
mhm,
I think you're gonna see the mentioning of Sauron a lot more than what this trailer gave.
mhm.
Um, it's a lot more that they're gonna touch on. I think season one they're gonna try to. I feel like they may rush it a little bit to teach you a lot of information, but with good reason,
Mhm.
to why they're gonna do it. But that's just my thought. What
No,
about
no.
you?
Uh,
I gave my
I
tidbit because I have to give you the floor now.
so from my understanding, and it's just like a brief situation. So there's wars always between the humans, dwarves, and men. This is our understanding of not the Orokai. The Orokai come later, but the Orcs come from Mordor. Sauron is already a threat. Saruman, who's a witch, he's kind of like Gandalf, but he's bad. He has bad intentions later on.
Yeah,
So they like you have your sense of good and evil there. It comes to an understanding that Sauron is looking to rule them all, obviously. So the dwarves and men and the elves have to band together in order to finish this war that's massacring their entire existence. Like they can't keep up with what the orcs and the leaders of Sauron. I'm not sure if Fandorm is gonna be in this one. Fandorm, you remember the Nazgul, the big dragon, the black dragon
yeah,
thing? He was the one without the face. He had the weird helmet and the the mace
yeah.
swinging in the front.
He chased them throughout most of the movies.
Right, to look for the ring. That's his job. So so what he does is he later on in he turns the souls of the nine men, the nine kings of men, bad in order to work for him, to work for Sauron. So they're like his
Yeah,
henchmen. Um, this is a story of that. Where did the nine rings for men go? I think it's three for the elves and then five for the dwarf lords.
Yeah, it was.
And then the One Ring to rule them all, which is forged in Mordor from Sauron uh, to do his bidding. And this is the rise of that storyline. This is why he becomes the baddest of the bad. This is before he's stuck in the tower. He's just a giant eye. You're just like, what? Okay. But this explains that. This explains why. This explains why they have to band together. This explains the story leading up to, I think they're going for like 2 seasons for now. And it's going to
I think
lead
they're gonna
up.
test try 2 seasons, see if it's. I think if it stays popular, I just hope that they don't like give you everything on those 2 seasons, and then it kind of like,
Right. I've seen shows on FX go longer, so I have hope that that it's going to be at least 4 or 5 seasons. But yeah. So this is a story of that. This is yeah, I love that photo. But this is a story of that. This is a story of how the orcs, what their understanding of their lifestyle, of what they have a singularity purpose. They don't start really getting anything crazy going on and having like their own sort of riffraff between them until the Orakai come, but you don't see that until the Lord of the Rings, and more importantly, when Saruman takes control and starts working for Sauron, starts working with Sauron in the Two Towers. So this is quite a bit of time into the past. They also showed a younger version. If you remember Gandalf, and he was having a consult with an elf, and her name was I think it's Gatriel or
yeah, yeah,
Galadriel. Galadriel.
Galadriel, yeah, because
Yeah,
that's what they mentioned here.
right. So Galadriel is kind of like the wisest for now because she's one of the oldest elves. So
Yes, yes, because I
people,
remember her. They go up to and ask her for like advice and help, and then he had the ring, and when she's tried to when he pulled out the ring,
mhm,
she almost felt power to it, and then like controlled herself.
right. So
That's
this
why
is a
Gandalf
story of
can't
that.
touch the ring. That's why a couple of the other ones, because they're those really powerful characters,
Yes, you can't
can't
have
touch
power
it.
with power. So what this is stating is that she can. It's a story of her understanding it, having the orb that sees all, and there's two orbs. There's one that should be in the hands of Sauron, and there's another that should be in the hands of the Elf Lords. Um,
Yes,
Somewhere along the line back, if you go to Sauron gets a part of it, Saruman gets a part of it, but I think it's because Sauron gave it to him.
yeah,
And you could
I
just kind of
remember right.
see
That's they
where
brought it up.
things are and what's going on, and you could connect it to whoever and wherever you want to be. So it's kind of like it's a gateway. When it comes to this storyline, I think it's the rise of the physical entity and being of who Sauron becomes, either during or right before he makes the Ring of Power. And then it goes into the Rings of Power, which makes sense because you have to fight off him.
Yes,
And then as we go throughout the seasons, you're going to see how they're going to start dying off because it ends up, I was like, oh, there's one Ring of Power. We got to take care of this. How do we take care of it? One's not enough. We got to need 9 for these dudes. These dudes aren't, they can't do it on themselves because they're mortal, the men. So now we have to give 3 to the elves to kind of balance them out. But then they're not enough. So now we have to give 5 to the dwarves, and they're not enough. So now we have like 19, like 18, 19 rings who
yep.
trying to balance out this one, which is in it, not to go into is the one ring to rule them all. Let's stay in our ring. I was about to say the one above all, and that's a Marvel thing, but like there's always a guy. But so
Come on.
he's that powerful that he takes control of the minds of men because they're the weakest. He does that first. The greed of the dwarves because there's I think the story of Thrain is when
That
there's
was it.
always a story when there's a dwarf where there's either a ring that takes too much power and it takes over their mind, or the amount of gold that they're able to mine and take control, especially the mines of Moria, or the Arkenstone, which like solidifies the power of Thorin's dad, and it takes his mind over, and he becomes like drunk with power. So they can't take it, and that's why Galadriel.
Galadriel.
Oh, thank you. You and your talented tongue. But like,
Rolling R's, baby. Rolling R's over here.
need that Spanish Inquisition there to help me out with this name. Anyway, so, yeah, so that's why she can't touch it, as you explained for earlier. That's why Sauron can't can't take control of it, because he's too weak-minded eventually, and
And
that's why
also, and what I was
Gandalf.
trying to confirm was the name, but they are bringing in also a young Elrond who
Oh,
works with Galadriel. So and he
yes,
was in that trailer. If you see it, he pops up. He's really young, so it's hard to
right.
show
It
it.
doesn't see
Um,
you don't see him like Elrond himself. Elrond is Liv Tyler's dad,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. The
So
Hugo Weaving who played in
yeah,
Matrix, and
yeah, which is cool because that explains the storyline of exactly how long elves live. And it
yeah,
was the elf king in the Hobbit that explained that to Thorin, because he was just like, I'm gonna lock you in jail in these dungeons for maybe 100 years, and you're gonna die off. 100 years is a blink in the existence of an elf. I could wait. It's fine, because
yeah,
elves could live to 2-3 thousand years. So and that's just to our understanding. So this is gonna be a wild ride. I love it. I love how they ended the trailer with Balrog, because that means that
yes.
we're going into the mines of Moria, and he is my favorite. He is my favorite because he's so much more than the battle at the during was it the Fellowship of the Ring on that kind of bridge with Gandalf, and then he's more than the battle that he had with Gandalf to solidify Gandalf's ascending from Gandalf the
Gandalf the
Grey
Grey to Gandalf the
to
White.
actually he's Gandalf the White, but he's his true name, because that was going to be confusing. So they left that part out of the movies. It's in the extended. Um, but his true name is Saruman. He is what Saruman should have been before his mind became manipulated and he started doing bad. So
Got
he
it.
ended up being Gandalf the White, because there's always has to be a balance of good and evil. So since Saruman became evil, but he's still Saruman the White, they created Gandalf the White. So they had to have his ascendance. So there's a power versus power. There's a good and
Yeah,
evil. Gandalf the Grey can't touch Saruman. Saruman at his true form, his immense form, is Saruman the White, and he's way too strong for Gandalf the Grey. So you
yeah, and they
can't
showed that in the
go that way.
movies because he got the bricks beat off of him.
Yeah, you guys ask it. You guys ask it. He had no chance. So he had to die to ascend to take over. And that's
Yeah.
just showing you that there's a higher power above all of this that has to balance out good and evil. So
And
it's
I think
cool to
what I
see
love about
how great
that
it
though
is.
is that that they want to bring in Balrog is that when you bring in Balrog, that means you have to bring in Gandalf, a younger Gandalf at
Yeah,
that.
younger Gandalf to see that
Um,
difference.
yeah, and exactly what you're about to say. You're gonna see this fight immense, and you're gonna be able to say, okay, why was that fight that Gandalf had in part at the ending of part one so pivotal, and why does it make him ascend to that? So I think this is where you're
Yeah,
gonna, with him introducing him, they're able to explain more of the character and definitely
yeah,
bring more story, more light to this fight.
yeah. Because Gandalf did express that he had met him before. He knows of Balrog. And
Yep.
Balrog is actually a part of a race of demonic creatures he's kind of like, I wouldn't say cousins, but he's in that same realm, if not a lot less powerful, but he's still in that race of demonic entities that Sauron comes from. So it's
Oh,
just
okay, okay, okay.
eventually they take physical form, but they're always an entity. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's almost like he's a ghost, but now you see him as Balrog.
yeah, because
I
it,
can't
it
remember
it
what
takes
his
up
name is.
the force of like the darkness.
Yeah,
They said he created that form.
yeah. I can't remember his actual name. I was looking it up before we came, but I can't pronounce it. I think it's like Valakanir, or something. Blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, yeah, it sounds very Vikingish, but has nothing to do with it. Um, but I hope they show, if it's not too far in the past. Hopefully they show Schmiegel, or the start of the descent of Schmiegel into Gollum, because he was Gollum for about 600. He was like 500-600 years.
Yeah,
It was eternal life that he was granted because of the ring. But I wanted to see if they tap into the Hobbit and the Shire, and you see Smeagol and Deagle, or at least his parents or something. So it kind of sets it
I
up.
think that's where it'll end. I think around that ending of the season, you may see the character
Yeah.
appear though. You may start seeing Schmiegel, um, his human form before he turns into Gollum.
Hmm.
You may see him
That make
like
more sense.
background scenes of him walking by, or maybe like he'll have a moment where he may cross path with
Hmm.
somebody, so they may bring in that character just to kind of touch in, like, okay, he Schmiegel has always been around this, which is that he was destined to find the ring and unfortunately turn into what he turns into.
Hmm.
But I think he won't be a major factor of the show. The
No.
main factors are going to be like the elves, the dwarves,
Yeah.
because they
There's
definitely
too
have put a
much.
real big hold on that character, as you can see in the trailer.
Hmm.
Like, okay, these are the people you're going to be really focusing on this first season,
Hmm.
um, as well as I hope, because I know the actor who played Christopher Lee, who played Saruman, has passed away, so they can't really bring in him. But at least show Saruman the White as a younger Saruman the White, as well as
Right.
Gandalf the
Or maybe
Gray.
even maybe even Sar. If Sar, I don't know if he had a gray form. I don't know. I have to
Yeah,
look into that. I don't know
and
if
well,
he.
he had to. If this is following the way Gandalf had to do it, I'm sure that Saruman was Saruman the Gray at one point.
Hmm.
Um, and then even
Yeah, it
showing the
was
other
strange.
wizards, give us the
Yeah.
the brown, give us get us everybody, like introduce those characters very subtly without having to force it in our face. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, here's the guys. Like, no, just there's ways to do it, and I feel like they can do that, and I think the show definitely has promise to hit a lot of those.
Yeah.
Amazon has made some pretty good shows, so I definitely have hope that Prime Videos can't you really can't drop the ball on this, because it's pretty much written for you.
Right.
But if
I
you're
agree.
DC,
And
they can figure that out.
and I like it because for years they've been asking, what about the Silmarillion? What about the Silmarillion? What about the explanation of the elves? What about the explanation of this and that and the other? X, Y, and third, because there's 3 books. There's the Hobbit, there's the Silmarillion, and the Lord of the Rings. There's 3 series of books.
Yeah,
Sorry for anybody who was like, motherfucker. I was like, no, there's 3 series. Sorry, don't kill me. But yeah, so it's like we've been barking for years, like fans and even bigger fans than me that are like immerse themselves into the lore and like into this world, this universe of it, and then know like far more than I do. But you've been asking like, how come you kind of like lost the momentum there? Is like, we have the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings, we have the trilogy for the Hobbit. Where is the storyline of everything that happened before, in the middle of this, leading up to the Return of King? What happens after Aragon took the throne? Like where is the rest of the storyline? So the fact that they're doing it as a series, and you can have maybe an hour and a half per uh, episode, and you're doing maybe 10, 12 episodes a, a season, and you're already down for 2 seasons. If you do 5 seasons, we just got our answer. So I'm really
true.
excited for that, in a sense of the explanation of the story that a lot of our fans have been looking for. Where you see a glimpse of Balrog, but you don't know who Balrog is. He's just a creature on fire at that point. It's like, no, he's more than that. Who was Gollum? They kind of explain it, and then it's like 5 minutes to explain it. No. Who was Schmiegel? Not just Gollum. Who was Sauron? Not just this baddie that everybody fears, and he's an eye in a tower. No, he was much more than that.
Yeah, he
You
was
know,
he was the biggest baddie of them all.
right? You have the ways of men. Why were they manipulated? Why were they so easily manipulated? Why the show us the descent, the ancestors of Gimli and Gimli's dad, and da 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 da. Show us the ancestors of the Elves. Show us them younger because they live for so long that we can't go back 15,000 years to see.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, this is my granddad. Like it's like Elrond's granddad 15,000 years ago.
And I was trying to, and I'm looking up as you're talking up. I was trying to look up the name. I can't remember the name of Aragorn's father, the king of Isildur, that he
Okay.
was the heir of. So
Isildur,
I'm
yeah.
wondering, what was his name?
Isildur. You said it right.
Yeah. So I was trying to look it up because I'm wondering if they're also going to bring in that kingdom as well, in this entirety of the show. Like you may see glimpses of it, or even the kingdom of the spirits that Aragorn
Yes. That
brings.
army.
Yes, he had to get that army. I wonder
army
if they'll touch in
before
them.
they died because and were cursed to
Yeah.
be there forever until the true king came back and released them. Because they were there for, as he said, the leader of that army, of that ghost army, he was just like, we've been here for a very long time. We've been here for hundreds of years waiting
Before
for
your
you."
grandfather, if I remember the line he said, he's like, "We've been here before your grandfather."
Yeah. So I wonder
So
if they're gonna tap into that. That'd be cool.
And you definitely could do that because of how long they were there. So I
Yeah.
think this has so much promise, and I feel like we're geeking up a little bit because there's just so much avenues you can go on. I hate to say I want to have my hopes up for it because you can literally go this way, that way, this way, north, south, east, west, you name it, backwards, forwards.
If they do it correctly and they just follow J.J.R. the Tolkien,
His books.
his books and his writings, and even some of the smaller memoirs that he's done, and like side stories and everything, all of the material is right there. And I know, like us too, just geeking out on this podcast is nothing compared to the writers of the show. So
I think they're
if
hearing
we're
our ideas
thinking
like this
about
right
it,
now. So much.
like if they're thinking about it, if we're thinking about it, then I know that they have. It just depends on what avenue they wanted to take and exactly where they wanted to go, especially for the first season or even the first two seasons. And say, we have to think about the nerds, us, in a sense, but we also have to think about the common viewer. Are they gonna?
I think there's three people they have to focus on. It's not just for the you have the average fan who's probably watched all the movies and said, "Oh wow, I enjoyed it," but weren't like dug into it. Then you have the casual fan that are kind of more or less like us, who we know the books, we know the movies, maybe not into the same depth. And then you have the over the top fans and I'm not knocking those fans, but you have those fans that are so into it, they know every detail, every moment, and it's hard to really please all three. So they're gonna have to find a really happy middle for this.
One of the biggest fans that I know is I can't remember what show he's on. He was on Stephen Colbert.
Oh yeah, the Colbert Show.
Yeah, he had his own show. He was part of a show before that, and then I think he changed to another show, or he still has a Stephen Colbert show. I haven't watched TV. I'm on cable, so like I watch movies and little sitcoms in here and there on streaming shows. But I don't have any like actual.
So you're Bilbo Baggins, is what you're saying? Because what we're hearing right now, you are Bilbo Baggins.
I like adventures.
You like it in your living room,
in my cottage.
I hate visitors.
Here. Stealing my silverware and all type of shit. No, we ain't about that life. But yeah, so
We'll sing a song for you as the dwarves.
Stephen Colbert is such a big fan that, like, I think he had an episode or two where he just explained it. Like somebody in the they had a special guest. The special guest last minute bailed out, and then one of the fans in the audience said, "Explain the Lord of the Rings." So they give him like 2 hours, and he was like, "That's not enough time." But he started.
I think he showed up on the next episode of that with like the ears and everything.
And part 2 of our explanation, and he just kept talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, to the point that I think he got 1 or 2 roles in the Lord of the Rings movies. Small. He's like at the barge, and he's eating a carrot, and then he's at the bar, or like the village where the bar is, where they have to go and find the rider, who is Aragorn and Samwise Gamgee and Frodo Baggins. They're sent to this bar. It's like a tavern.
Yeah,
and they were like,
yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
look out for this guy, and he's the rider. He's a lone rider or something. He's like, no, he's actually he's the heir to the throne. He's the true king. And they meet Aragorn. So he's in that scene, and he's like eating a carrot, or he's just kind of like being a lookout or something like that. He's also in The Hobbit too. So he's just like, I think he's in the first one where, I think, again, the barge where there's they have the dwarves, and the dwarves are in these barrels full of fish to smuggle them in. And what's his name? Luke Evans. Luke Evans' character is getting in, and he has to kind of like finagle with the barge owner to get him in. He's just like, oh yeah, these people are going hungry, and they find out that you're dumping fish into the lake. What are they gonna think about you then? Are you gonna get the votes to be back in your job? And he's like, okay, fine, go. And then you see him like off in the corner. You're like, that's Stephen Colbert.
It's very subtle. Yeah, it's very subtle in there. I remember now.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. Pardon me if I get like the actual setup of the scenes, but he's in those scenes. It's like, that's cool that you're so much of a fan that they call you to be a part of the movies. That's like ultimate fandom. That's like if like we're Batman fans and they're like, hey, we're making.
You want to get your ass kicked by Batman?
Yeah, you want to be a thug or something, or like,
I'd be like, yeah, hand down.
Or like,
can I be the thug without a mask? I want to be seen and on my face.
Yeah, it's like, I was in the movie The Batman too. I got my ass kicked. I was part of Penguin's crew. Like, I'd
be happy with that.
I was on TV
waddle
for
it
5
and
seconds.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was a driver. We flipped the car, and no big deal. that would be, at least for me, being in a Batman movie would be the pinnacle of my fandom. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, so I can't wait. September 2nd is right around the corner. September 2nd is actually the start when we do your bachelor party. So we got too much going on that weekend.
Yeah, so much going on that week.
We got that. We're gonna be streaming. We're not gonna be streaming or anything, but we're gonna be watching Lord of the Rings if I have a chance. Our barbecue.
If we have a memory.
Clash of the Castle. We're gonna be drinking like hell. If we do Lord of the Rings, I think there's a liquor that's coming out for Lord of the Rings. It's like
we'll touch on that a little later though. We definitely
yeah. Too much. Hi. So,
too much.
I know tonight I'm going to Bronson's to get a bottle of Johnny Walker Ghost White for they had Fire and Ice for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta prep up for House of Dragons.
Yeah, House of Dragon. Anyway, so.
All right.
Are we
done?
So much.
Well, so much going on. Well, guys, again, like always, give us your thoughts, comment on here, drop any suggestions on what you think. If you watch the show, give us your insight, what you think that the show is going to look like, what you feel that maybe they missed, or just say, hey, let's touch back on and we can maybe get you on the show with us. Who knows?
Right.
Guys, it's been a pleasure always to talk about and geek out with you guys here on the podcast. If you guys have anything else, feel free to always let us know, okay?
Yeah, guys. Again, sorry, I know I'm rambling Robbie, but thank you for the opportunity for me to ramble, whether I get all the facts right or not, and you fill me in. It makes me even more of a geek than I am. So this is a platform for me to talk Felix's ear off and hopefully talk your ear off. But yeah, sorry. An ear infection after my dumb ass. I'm like, oh, Balrog, shut up. Like, go read a book.
Go outside and see the sun.
Go see the sun.
All right, guys. Till
man.
next time.
Yes. Take care, guys.
Wow,
This is the thrill. Welcome to the thrill. Giving you something that's real. Tell me how you really feel. Now that you hearing the thrill. I was all on my own. Now we're looking at it home. Spit the dish up from the dome. My looking we gone and this is the thrill. Welcome to the thrill. Giving you something that's real. Tell me how you